Welcome back. We continue our race to the 613. We are at Mitzvah 450, Tafnun. Here we go. Let's dive right into it. 2 more videos, God willing, and we're there. Tafnun. Tafnun 450. Do not abandon the Leviim on the time of the holidays when you need to give them food. Make sure you give them, especially around the holidays, the gifts that they deserve from the produce. 451, the mitzvah of shechita, of course, kosher shechita. 452, the mitzvah of not eating a living creature, which, by the way, is also one of the 7 mitzvot that apply to all people in the world. 453, the mitzvah of making sure you take care of a korban, a sacrifice, when you are bringing it from outside of Israel all the way to the temple. That's a long trip. 454, do not add anything to the mitzvot of the Torah. 455, do not detract any of the mitzvot. Don't take any away. 456, do not listen to someone who is prophesizing in the name of avodah zarah, idol worship. 457, do not love someone who is trying to seduce and convince you to worship avodah zarah. 458, do not stop hating that person for trying to take away your religion from you. 459, do not save that person who is a mesite. He's taking you away from your religion. 460, don't even say anything favorable about them in court. 461, if you know something that is gonna incriminate them, make sure you say that in court. Not much forgiveness for this guy, huh? 462, do not be that guy. Don't be the guy who's seducing others to worship avodah zarah. 463, the mitzvah of investigating the witnesses very well. 464, the mitzvah to burn the Ir Anidachat, the city that is entirely dedicated to avodah zarah. 465, do not rebuild an Ir Anidachat, a city that is dedicated to avodah zarah and was destroyed. Don't rebuild it. 466, do not derive any benefit from the money or possessions of the Ir Anidachat, the city that has been destroyed for worshiping avodah zarah. 467, do not injure yourself the way people who worship avodah zarah do. They cut themselves when someone dies. 468, do not pull out your hair when someone dies, which is something the idol worshippers would do. 469, do not eat a korban, animal sacrifice that became disqualified. 470, if you see a bird, before you eat it, make sure it's kosher. It has this proper signs. 471, do not eat the kinds of grasshoppers that are not kosher. Fun fact, some of them are. 472, do not eat the meat of any animal, even a kosher one, that died on its own. So if a cow dies on its own without shechita, no eating it. 473, the mitzvah maaser sheni. Every 3rd and 6th year, you have to designate a portion of your produce to be eaten in Jerusalem. 474, the mitzvah of giving some of your produce in certain years on certain years to the poor people, and also maaser sheni in certain years. 475, if someone lent the other money and the sabbatical year, the Shemitah year, went by, you can't ask for it again. And 476, if there is a loan of someone that has not been forgiven, then you should ask for it if someone is out of that category. 477, the mitzvah of forgiving all the loans in the 7th year. 478, do not hold yourself back from giving the poor person what he needs to live. Yeah, hello, where's he gonna eat dinner? So if you see someone poor, don't hold yourself back. Give him what he needs. 479, who doesn't love this mitzvah? The mitzvah of tzedakah. 480, the mitzvah of making sure you do not prevent yourself from giving out money as a loan before the Shemitah, the sabbatical year. 481, if someone is an Eved Ivri, a Jewish servant, I guess, or slave, when you discharge him and he finishes working for you, give him a bonus. 482, make sure, so 481 is don't send him out empty-handed, and 482 is giving him that bonus when he leaves. 483, if you have an animal that is designated as a korban for the Beit HaMikdash, do not use it for your personal work. 484, do not use that animal designated for the Beit HaMikdash to shear its wool. 485, do not eat chametz on Erev Pesach on the 14th of Nisan after midday, after Chatzot. 486. If you eat the Korban Chagiga of the Passover on the 14th of Nisan, make sure you eat it all by the third day. So the Korban Chagiga, all done by the third day. Next, 487. If you bring a Korban Pesach, do not bring it in your backyard. Make sure you bring it in the Beit HaMikdash. So that's a negative commandment. Don't bring it in your own Mizbeach. 488, the mitzvah of being happy in the 3 regalim, the Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. 489, the mitzvah of showing up in the Beit HaMikdash on the 3 regalim, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. And 490, do not go up to the Beit HaMikdash empty-handed. Make sure that you have something with you. We are moving along. 491, the mitzvah, a very important one, of appointing police and judges in every community. 482, do not plant any trees in the Beit HaMikdash. 483, do not build a stone monument to worship God, not the Jewish thing. 494, do not bring a sacrifice to God even if it has a blemish that will pass. Wait until that blemish passes. 485, the mitzvah to listen to the Beit Din Hagadol, the Sanhedrin, which, by the way, this is the mitzvah of Mitzvot Derabanan. You listen to what the rabbis institute. 496, do not violate the decisions of the Jewish Supreme Court, the Sanhedrin. 497, how controversial, the mitzvah of appointing a king. A lot of discussion about that. 498, the mitzvah that if you are appointing a king, it must be from your brethren, someone who's born to the Jewish people. 499, if you're a king, do not buy lots of luxury horses. 500, never, ever, ever, ever live in Egypt. Whole discussion how Maimonides lived in Egypt. 501, if you're the king, don't have lots of wives. 502, if you're a king, don't hoard gold and silver for your own personal use. 503, the mitzvah of a king to write a Torah in addition to the Torah that everyone else has. So every Jew has a mitzvah of writing a Torah, the king has to write another one. And 504, the Levites cannot have a share in the land of Israel. 505, the Levites cannot take any part in the spoils of the land when the land of Israel is conquered from the Canaanites. 506, when you slaughter a kosher animal, give certain parts to the Kohen, the arm, the cheek, whatever it is. 507, the mitzvah of Truma Gedolah, 2% of all produce goes to the Kohen at the very beginning. 508, the beginning of your shearing of the sheep, the wool, goes to the Kohen. Just the beginning, not all of it. 509, the mitzvah of the Kohanim making sure that they work in the Beit HaMikdash in certain shifts at certain times. 510, one of my favorites, don't do dark magic. 511, do not do a different kind of dark magic. One is called Kesem, one is called Kishuf. 512, do not do Chever, a different kind of dark magic. 513, do not ask the Ov. Remember the story with Shaul, where he brings up someone from the dead? It's called seance, I think. Don't do that. And 514, don't inquire among the dead with the method called Yidoni. They would take a bone and sort of start getting the dead to speak. 515, just don't inquire among the dead. Leave them alone. 516, listen to the prophet in every single generation if he does not add or subtract from the mitzvahs of the Torah. 517, if you are trying to prophesy, do not be a false prophet. 518, do not prophesy in the name of Avodah Zarah, of idol worship. 519, if you see a false prophet, you should have no fear, and if he needs to be killed, he needs to be killed. 520, prepare 6 cities of refuge, Arei Miklat, that are used to escape to if someone kills someone by accident. 521, if someone caused financial damage to the other, don't have mercy. Be the judge and tell him he has to pay, if you're the judge. 522, one of my favorite, do not trespass. Meaning, if your neighbor has a business, a successful business for popcorn, don't be a guy that opens right next to him. Or don't, if you have a fence between you and your neighbor, don't move the fence. Don't trespass. On all of its meanings. 523, if there's only one witness, you can't really decide. Don't decide based on one witness. You need two. 524, if two witnesses conspire and plot and make up something about someone, give them exactly what they plan to inflict on the other. 525, do not be afraid of the enemy in war. 526, if someone is, if there is a war, make sure you appoint a Kohen as a general to be the sort of chief motivator. 527, the mitzvah of following the Torah rules with regard to an optional war. This is not a war where you have to fight. It's not defensive, it's offensive. 528, any of the 7 nations that are coming, that you're coming with to Israel, this is a tough mitzvah. It's a lot of discussion how it is, but basically if they wage war with you, you can't keep them alive. It's a full-out war. Very tough mitzvah. 529, the mitzvah of Balthashite. Do not destroy any fruit, any fruit trees, and any kind of thing. Just don't destroy things. 530, the mitzvah of Egla Arufa. If someone innocent is dead, then make sure that you are do the whole mitzvah of the Egla Arufa, the heifer, so you find the perpetrator. We're up to 531. God willing, we continue in our next video. We're very close to 613. Thank you for listening.